Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and here are the top stories of the day. The Israeli army has told Palestinians to begin evacuating eastern Rafah. This is according to a statement released by the Israeli Defense Forces. People were told to move to Muwasi, which Israel has declared a humanitarian area. The latest move signals the potential start of a ground assault on Rafah. Hamas launched strikes at the Kerem Shalom border crossing yesterday. 3 Israeli soldiers have been killed in the attack and 11 others were wounded. The Israeli military said that more than 10 rockets were fired from Rafah. Israel closed the Kerem Shalom crossing after the strike. Meanwhile, the Lebanon-based Hezbollah group launched a barrage of over 60 rockets towards Israel. Hezbollah targeted the northern Israeli city of Kiryat Shmona. Israel said Hezbollah first fired some 20 rockets, followed by another salvo of 40. The attacks followed a deadly Israeli airstrike on southern Lebanon. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pledged to continue fighting. In a speech at the country's annual Holocaust Memorial Ceremony, Netanyahu vowed to stand up to international pressure. He added that Israel will stand alone if it is forced to. Multiple countries, including allies like the US, have urged Israel not to go forward with a ground offensive in Rafah. In Ukraine, several Russian airstrikes hit the city of Kharkiv yesterday. At least 16 people have been injured in the strikes. Shortly after midnight, a drone attack set buildings on fire. Later in the afternoon, 3 guided aerial bombs hit residential areas in Kharkiv's city center. Meanwhile, Russia held rehearsals for its Victory Day parade in Moscow. Russia holds celebrations on the 9th of May every year to commemorate the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany. Troops were marching as fighter jets flew in formation. Military vehicles were seen moving towards Moscow's iconic Red Square. Several tanks, missiles and air defense systems were also displayed during the parade. Chinese President Xi Jinping is in France for a state visit. This is the Chinese leader's first trip to Europe in 5 years. Xi and his wife landed yesterday and were greeted by the French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal. The Chinese president is meeting his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron during this trip. Following the France trip, Xi will also visit Serbia and Hungary. Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the president of the Philippines, has said that Manila has no plans to install water cannons on its vessels. He added that the country will not use water cannons or any offensive weapons in the West Philippine Sea. His remarks come as tensions between the Philippines and China continue to escalate. Last week, Manila accused Beijing of harassment. This was after Filipino ships were damaged by the Chinese Coast Guard, who had fired water cannons at them. Rwanda says it cannot give guarantees about how many asylum seekers it will take from the UK. A Rwandan official said she could not confirm how many thousands the country would take in the first year or in the second year. Earlier, there were about 52,000 asylum seekers who could potentially have been sent to Rwanda. However, when asked if Rwanda could accommodate all of them, the official said that it would depend on very many factors. José Raúl Mulino has won Panama's presidential election. In February, Mulino stepped in as a last-minute candidate, replacing former President Ricardo Martinelli. Martinelli was disqualified over corruption. He was banned after being sentenced to more than 10 years in prison for money laundering. Now, his substitute, Mulino, is Panama's new president-elect. In the Central African nation, Chad, it is heading to polls today. It will be the first coup-hit nation in Africa's Sahel region to be transitioning back to democracy. However, the chief of the outgoing military junta, Mohamed Deby, is widely expected to win. He is the son of another coup leader turned president, Idris Deby. The provisional results for Chad's election are expected by May 21st and final results by June 5th. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the votes, a runoff will be held on June 22nd. In Mexico, 3 missing tourists have been confirmed dead. One of them was an American and the other 2 were Australians. They were on a surfing trip to Mexico's Baja California state, and they went missing last week. Mexican officials have recovered their bodies after a long search. The officials say that the surfers were killed by thieves who wanted to steal their truck. The thieves then dumped their bodies in a well. In climate news, the U.S. state of Texas is grappling with heavy rains and floods. Several cities faced intense lightning storms and the floods damaged multiple roads. Authorities issued flood warnings for at least 11 million people in Texas and the state of Oklahoma. Meanwhile, devastating floods in Brazil have claimed the lives of at least 78 people. This is in the state of Rio Grande do Sul. Dozens of people are still stranded or trapped in their houses, surrounded by floodwater. The floods have displaced at least 115,000 people in the region. Heavy rain has also led to landslides and the partial collapse of a dam. Meanwhile, the death toll from floods in Kenya has risen to 228. This comes after weeks of devastating rain in the region. The bank of a river in western Kenya burst on Sunday, submerging the town of Ahero. According to the Kenyan police, water levels are still rising. Cyclone Hidaya made landfall in Tanzania's Mafia Island. Tanzania's capital, Dar es Salaam, escaped major damage because the tropical cyclone weakened after the landfall. However, officials say the region will continue to face heavy rains and strong winds. India's capital, New Delhi, recorded the season's hottest day on Sunday. The mercury rose to 41.1 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, some parts of the states of Telangana, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh experienced temperatures between 44 to 45 degrees Celsius. The Indian Meteorological Department says that temperatures are significantly higher than average. Meanwhile, schools in Bangladesh have reopened following a drop in temperatures across the country. This comes a week after severe heat waves in Bangladesh. Temperatures had crossed the 40 degrees Celsius mark in the country. A forest fire has been raging in northern Japan since Saturday. Authorities in Japan's Yamagata prefecture urged at least 400 people to evacuate the region. There are fears that the fire might spread to residential areas. On to business and tech news. The European Central Bank says that inflation in the EU is starting to ease. The bank's chief economist, Philip Lane, has hinted at interest rate cuts. He said there is a stronger possibility of rate cuts after the ECB's next monetary policy meeting in June. The European Central Bank sets the monetary policy for 20 EU countries. Global oil prices rose by nearly 0.5% today. The global oil price benchmark, Brent crude, climbed to over $83.4 a barrel. This comes a day after Saudi Arabia hiked its crude prices for June. The prices have been raised for multiple crude products, including those sold to countries in Asia, Northwest Europe, and the Mediterranean. Ulrich Körner, the last CEO of Credit Suisse, is reportedly set to leave the UBS group. Last year, Credit Suisse was merged with its rival Swiss bank UBS amid a financial crisis. Körner joined the board of UBS after the takeover. Reports say that Körner will leave UBS in the coming weeks as the merger of Credit Suisse and UBS gets completed. The earnings of the Australian banking giant Westpac have sharply declined in the last 6 months. Westpac has reported a 16% drop in profits from October 2023 to March 2024. The lender has been dealing with with tough competition in the market. Meanwhile, Australians face high borrowing costs due to high interest rates. Meanwhile, the Australian airline Qantas Airways has agreed to pay $79 million to settle a lawsuit. Qantas is accused of illegally selling thousands of tickets for flights that had already been cancelled. The airline was sued last year by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. The $79 million fine is the largest ever for an Australian airline. The Canadian airline WestJet has reached a new wage agreement with a union representing its aircraft maintenance engineers. The deal will be put to a vote among union members. For months, WestJet's maintenance engineers have been demanding better pay and benefits. Yesterday, the union issued a notification that it would go on strike in the next 3 days. The new wage deal is expected to avert the strike. Boeing's space capsule Starliner is set to carry astronauts to the International Space Station today. The Starliner space capsule will take off from Florida with 2 NASA astronauts. It will be launched on top of the Atlas V rocket, jointly made by Boeing and the arms manufacturer Lockheed Martin. The mission has been delayed for several years because of setbacks in the Starliner's development. Shares of the Indian fintech firm Paytm fell by over 4.5% today. This was after Paytm announced the resignation of its chief operating officer and president, Bhavesh Gupta. The firm said that Gupta would step down by the end of the month. His resignation comes days ahead of Paytm announcing its quarterly financial results. Earlier this year, India's central bank had imposed restrictions on Paytm's banking unit. Paytm's financial result is expected to show the impact of these restrictions. Apple's Taiwanese supplier Foxconn reported a 19% increase in revenue for the last month. Foxconn earned nearly $16 billion in April. This is the company's highest ever revenue for the month. The report comes even as Foxconn's biggest customer, Apple, has been struggling. Apple has seen a decline in iPhone sales in recent months. Foxconn has hinted that this situation may change soon, as Apple will be launching new products in the near future. Reports say that a takeover bid will be made soon for the French information technology firm Atos. It will be a joint bid by the London-based investment firm Atesta and Czech billionaire Daniel Kretinsky. Atos has been struggling with high debt. Recently, the French government announced it had plans to buy a stake in the firm. Moving to sports, we start with cricket and updates from the Indian Premier League. Kolkata Knight Riders beat Lucknow Super Giants by a whopping 98 runs yesterday. LSG won the toss and opted to bowl first. The visitors, KKR, posted 235 runs for 6 wickets in the first innings. Sunil Narine continued with his brilliant form, scoring 81 runs off just 39 balls. Meanwhile, Lucknow's batting was underwhelming, and they were all out for just 137 runs in 16.1 overs. Chennai Super Kings beat Punjab Kings by 28 runs yesterday. The match was played in Dharamshala. CSK went out to bat first. Rahul Chahar and Harshal Patel chipped in with 3 wickets each, helping Punjab restrict CSK to 167 runs. But then Punjab failed to reach even that modest target, ending their 20 overs at just 139. In football, Real Madrid have clinched a record-extending 36th La Liga title. Madrid's arch-rivals Barcelona suffered a 4-2 defeat at the hands of Girona on Saturday. The Barcelona defeat ensured that Real Madrid cannot be overtaken in La Liga this season. Real had earlier won 3-0 against Cadiz, securing the championship even with 4 games remaining. Liverpool thrashed Tottenham Hotspur 4-2 in the English Premier League yesterday. Mohamed Salah started for Liverpool and scored their first goal. Andy Robertson added a second just before half-time. Liverpool added 2 more after the break, going 4 goals up before the 1-hour mark. Tottenham managed to reduce the deficit thanks to goals by Richarlison and Heung-min Son, but those proved to be consolations as Liverpool walked away with all 3 points. In tennis, Russia's Andrei Rublev has clinched the 2024 Madrid Open title. He was up against Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime in the men's finals. Rublev lost the first set 4-6, but he overcame that nerve-wracking start to beat his opponent 7-5, 7-5 in the next two sets. This is Rublev's second Masters 1000 title. Meanwhile, world number one Iga Swiatek clinched the Madrid Open women's title. The pole was facing the defending champion, Belarus's Aryna Sabalenka. Swiatek edged out her opponent 7-5, 4-6, 7-6 in a grueling clash. The victory was sweet revenge for Swiatek, who had lost to Sabalenka in last year's Madrid Open final. In Formula One, McLaren's Lando Norris brought home the Miami Grand Prix yesterday. He held off Red Bull's triple world champion Max Verstappen to secure his first F1 victory. The Red Bull racer was well on course to claim the win, but a midway crash derailed his plans, allowing Norris to capitalize on the opportunity. The Indian men's and women's 4x400-meter relay teams secured Paris Olympic spots. The women's quartet of Rupal Chaudhary, MR Puvama, Jyotika Sridandi and Subha Venkatesan finished second behind Jamaica with a time of 3 minutes and 29.35 seconds. Meanwhile, Mohammad Yahia, Mohammad Ajmal, Arokia Rajiv and Amoj Jacob followed suit. They secured second place behind the USA with a time of 3 minutes and 3.23 seconds. With this, India now have a total of 19 athletes who have qualified for the Paris Games in track and field events. In badminton, Team China stamped out their authority yet again by clinching both the Uber Cup and the Thomas Cup. They overcame Indonesia in the finals, marking the first time since 2012 that China won both the championships. The men clinched China's 11th title at the Thomas Cup after defeating Indonesia 3-1. Meanwhile, the women outclassed their opponents 3-0 in the Uber Cup to win for an unprecedented 16th time. Over 260,000 participants from 169 countries joined the 11th Wings for the Life World Run. The event, known for its motto, "Running for those who can't," attracted runners, walkers and wheelchair users globally. Tomoya Watanabe of Japan set a new event record, covering 70.09 kilometers, while Dominika Stelmach from Poland won the women's title with 55.02 kilometers. The 2024 run raised over $9 million, a new single-year record, funding spinal cord injury research and clinical trials. In entertainment news, the 2024 Met Gala event will take place today. Celebrities from around the globe will attend the event in New York. This year's theme is Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion, while the dress code is the Garden of Time. At least 1.6 million people flocked to Rio de Janeiro to attend Madonna's 2-hour-long free concert. The event happened on the Copacabana beach. Many reached the venue a day or two earlier to get the best spot. Madonna wrapped up her world tour celebration with this concert in Brazil. The Eurovision Song Contest began in Sweden's Malmö. The competition is taking place amid calls for boycotts due to Israel's participation. Eurovision is an international song contest organized by the European Broadcasting Union. Rapper Drake has denied the sexual predator allegations made by Kendrick Lamar. Drake released a song stating that if these allegations were true, he would have been arrested already. Lamar accused Drake of harboring sex offenders at his label in a new diss track. He also accused Drake of being a pervert for his alleged interest in younger women. Ryan Gosling's The Fall Guy earned approximately $28 million in its opening weekend in North America. It earned nearly $25 million overseas. Experts predicted that the film would earn at least $30 to $40 million in North America alone. The film has reportedly been produced on a budget of $140 million. The Garfield movie has collected nearly $22 million in its opening weekend. The film is playing only in 18 markets like Brazil and Spain. It is yet to open in the US and Canada. The film revolves around Garfield the cat joining a heist with his father. The makers of Gen V will not recast Chance Perdomo following the actor's death. The team feels no one can replace Perdomo. They are now working to recraft their storyline for Season 2. Perdomo died in a motorcycle accident in March. Indian actor Kareena Kapoor has been appointed as UNICEF India's national ambassador. Kapoor says she wants to keep using her voice and influence for children and their rights. She has previously served as UNICEF India celebrity advocate. Kapoor has been involved with the organization since 2014. Actor Bernard Hill has passed away at the age of 79. The cause of his death is not known. Hill was known for his roles in movies like Titanic and Lord of the Rings. He is survived by his wife Mariana and son Gabriel. According to reports, the UK royals Prince William and Kate Middleton are going through a hard time amid Kate's cancer treatment. Reports say that they are going through hell. In March of this year, Princess Kate revealed that she was diagnosed with cancer. She is currently undergoing preventive chemotherapy. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.